I'm Gary. This is my wife, Kalia. And today we have our sister in Christ, Carly, with us. And today she's going to be telling her testimony. So we're just going to start from the beginning, Carly. What was your childhood like?
I was born in Trenton, New Jersey, to a drug addict mother, a father who was born in Italy but ended up following a lot of what my mother did with the drugs. He drank wine occasionally until I was a little baby, and then he started to use drugs, same drugs my mom used. Um, when I was 4, something very life-changing happened to me. Not to jump forward, but I had a flashback years later, like 5 years ago, that I was left in a home that we stayed at with a teenage boy, and I don't know who else was in the house, but I know there was a teenage boy left there with me. And I just had a flashback of me laying on the bed and him doing things to me, having sex with me, and me having blood all over the bed.
And this was at 4 years old, you said?
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, I was at 4 years old.
Wow.
Shortly after, within the year of being 4, my mom left my father for a cop. She met the cop through prostituting on the streets. She was out prostituting, and he stalked her, and they ended up in a relationship. And maybe a very short time of them dating, and her still being with my birth father, she left. She took me and my older brother and left him and went with my stepfather.
So it sounds like it started with your parents.
Mm-hmm.
He was already there. He was already attacking them, and then it got like you didn't even have a choice at that point. It was he was already there before you. Like you, of course, we're all born into sin, obviously, but like you were born in it. Like he was present. He was in the household. It sounds like he was already there. He was already there.
And for a long time, I was a little upset with my birth father because I felt like he was too willing for us to leave.
Mm.
As I got older,
Like he was okay with it. Like he didn't
right,
care.
like he didn't fight for us. He
Right.
didn't, cry when we were leaving. Like he was okay with it. And now, looking back and knowing what I know, he wanted it. He felt like we were going into a police officer's home.
Mm.
We were going to be safe. Yeah. We weren't going to be near the drugs anymore. We weren't going to have to live in strangers' houses.
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. I could see where he's coming from. You know, from a man's point of view, even though, you don't want to be separated, from your loved ones, but and you're still trying to think of them, and you're thinking, in the time he was thinking that y'all are gonna be in a better position, even though it wasn't with him. He was thinking, okay, they're gonna be better off, without me, as much as it sucks.
Right.
I could understand that. I could understand that.
And it grew a lot of anger with my mom too, because when she met my birth father, he had a beautiful home. He was like the best mechanic at where he worked. He was a vet. He was living a really good life. And she kind of destroyed it.
Mm.
Not saying he didn't have a part to play,
Right.
but she destroyed it and then like walked away.
Mm.
And that set a lot of anger in me with her.
I'm sorry, but is your birth mom still alive?
Yeah.
Okay. So currently, are y'all like on good terms? Like, do y'all still communicate? Both of your parents are alive?
No, my birth father died. My adopted father, he's still alive.
Okay.
I don't really talk to him very much.
Okay.
My mom's on and off with the drugs still. We got into an argument like 2 weeks ago about her just being honest because I could tell she was getting high. You could tell, I know. You know, I know her voice, I know her actions, I know everything.
Yeah.
You know, when she's getting high. And like I ask her, like, what are you on? And it's like, I'm stupid. Like, I don't know any better. And then last week, she wanted to know something from me, and I was kind of like, I'm not telling you shit. Like, you don't tell me the truth.
Right.
And then I went back to, like, when she lied to me about getting high, she's like, okay, I bought a whole bunch of Xanax, and I was getting high. And I'm like, you don't have to tell me. I already know, but just don't deny it. You know what I mean? I think that's, like, a big issue me and my mom have had my whole life. Like, she lies about when she's getting high. She does horrible shit when she's getting high. She ran off a lot, disappear.
Yeah. You know, but as bad as it is, and we just, because we love them, we want them to just get it right and like just clean up. But, you know, it's just, I just consider addiction like a disease,
Yeah, and I have.
like a sickness.
It is.
It is.
And
It's a
I
sickness.
had my addictions, you know, throughout my life. It owned me.
It does, doesn't it?
Owned me. Yeah. I was homeless, didn't see my kids for 9 months at a time.
Wow.
Like, it owned me.
Wait. Before we jump ahead, okay.
It's getting good.
Yeah.
It's getting good.
Before we jump ahead, okay, so your mom, she packs you guys up. She goes to the police officer. She moves in with the police officer. You said that your dad, you felt some type of way towards your dad because he didn't fight for you guys. In that moment is what you felt like as a little girl. And so after that, then what started taking place?
My adopted father has 5 kids from another marriage. We moved into a 2-bedroom apartment. They got pregnant with my little brother pretty quickly after. No, about 2 years. So we were living in a 2-bedroom apartment. It was 8 of us. No, I'm lying. 6 of us. And
6 children?
there was 5 children and 2 adults.
Okay.
So 7.
Including you?
Yes. They started going to a church. During the summers, I would go see my aunt down the shore, and I'd go to church with her every Sunday. I loved it. And then when I started going to the church that my mom and my adopted father went to, it didn't seem different. It was a good church. You know, the whole like talking behind each other's back thing kind of like threw me, like, kind of disgusted me in a sense.
So was that your first time experiencing church? Like, when they went to church, was that your first time in church?
No.
Okay, so you
My aunt, I went to church when I visited her. I would go to her church.
How old were you? Do you remember, like,
About
early on?
about 5.
Okay, so you started going to church early.
Yeah.
Okay, so you did have You knew about God. You
Mhm.
had an idea of who he was already.
Yeah.
And did you have a good relationship with him in the midst of that? Or you was just going just because?
I believed in him.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I had a good relationship with him as far as a 5-year-old could.
Okay. Okay. Did you always have him in your life?
I always had God in my life and in my heart, and I always had faith in God, but I was very agnostic.
Hmm.
Okay.
I didn't believe in organized religion.
Okay.
I wouldn't go to church. That came a little later on because when my mom and my adoptive father did pick a church to start going to, we started going to school there. I started my kindergarten year there, and it was very cult-like.
Okay.
Had to have the uniform below the knees, couldn't go closer than 6 inches to the opposite sex. The principals were allowed to paddle us.
Oh.
I think I was in a religious school up until the 6th grade. Christian, and then another Christian school because the first one got shut down. There was something along the lines of our pastor was molesting his daughter.
Oh wow. And he's because you said it's a Christian school, so he like, I guess he was like the principal of the school.
Yeah,
or,
yeah,
Like the
principal
pastor
of the
was.
school.
Okay.
No. Different. The pastor was different than the principal.
Okay. I've never
But-
went to a Christian school, so I don't know. I always went to public school, so I don't know how that works there.
So it was since it was connected to the church shut down, the school shut down, everything shut down.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
It's not big.
Okay.
Don't like get an idea that this was a big thing. Like there might have been 60 of us in the school.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. So it was like a private school?
Yes.
Okay.
Going back a little bit so you can understand more of my story. I was 12 years old. I was driving in a truck with my adopted father and my brother, my younger brother. And my younger brother was fell asleep, and I was leaned over on my adopted father's lap, and he started touching my breasts. And God jumped in because somebody in front of him stopped, so my adopted father jammed on the brakes.
Wow.
I rolled out of the sleep. My little brother woke up. Yeah, so nothing happened like that at that point.
Did you ever tell your mom
No,
that no?
nope.
So you kept this in?
Never told anybody till 4 years ago.
Wow.
About 3 years ago.
Okay.
It's a
And
lot to hold in for that long. It's a lot.
it is.
And my mom and my adopted father stopped going to church. My mom started getting back heavy into drugs.
Oh, so she was clean during this time.
For like a couple years, yeah.
Oh,
While she
okay.
was pregnant for my brother and while she was nursing him for the most part.
Okay.
And then when he stopped having to nurse, that's when she started, messing around again. I have a cousin whose mother is my mother's sister. And she died when she was 21, and my cousin was 2 years old from a drug overdose. And we were at my aunt's for this summer one year, and we're out in the pool playing, and as I'm telling you this, I can see a picture that was taken and kept of me playing over the pool with the hose with the same bathing suit on as the day this happened. My cousin started touching me, and I didn't know what it was. I didn't understand.
It was like just new to you. You didn't know it was like right or wrong. It was just something that was
Right.
happening. You just
You
kind
know,
of
to be honest, it felt good.
right.
I was confused.
Yeah.
More curious than anything. Like, okay,
Right.
I'm not sure about this, but I kind
Right.
of like it. Like,
It must be good because it feels okay.
right.
This cousin of mine has a lot of mental health issues, a lot of trauma.
Today.
Always,
Speaking.
even back then.
Wow.
He continued to do this to me for a very long time. Even when I'd say no, he would threaten to kill my family and make me watch.
Really?
He would. There was points in time where I would roll myself into my blanket like a taco. That went on a total of 5 years.
And you said, you know, while all this was happening, you know, I'm guessing at this point, because you were, you know, wrapping yourself up in a blanket, you're trying to keep him from getting to you.
Yeah.
I'm guessing at this point you started to not like it,
Right.
or like maybe you realized like this isn't right.
Yeah.
You know, maybe because he's your cousin, or at a young age, or you just felt like it wasn't right.
I started to feel uncomfortable.
Okay.
I started to feel like it was happening even when I didn't want it to happen or think it was comfortable. He was doing it very often. At this point in time, he was living with us.
Okay, so he was living with y'all.
Yeah, he was living with us for a little while.
And you didn't tell anybody that? Oh, because he told you that he'd hurt your family.
Right. He would kill my family and make me watch.
So when you were trying to protect yourself, trying to wrap yourself up with this blanket, what would he do? Like, would he get mad about that because he knew you
Oh,
were?
no, he would dig in that blanket.
Oh, he just didn't care.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
just going for it. He
And
didn't
I would
care.
pretend I was sleeping. Because I started to get scared of him. Him talking about killing me, my family, hurting me. I just felt safer if I pretended I didn't know what was going on. Yeah, there came a point in time, I want to say I was 15. We were at my pop-pop's house, and that's who he mainly lived with. And I fell asleep, and he started to try and touch me, and I got up and I went to the bathroom, and I stayed in the bathroom for as long as I could, and then I heard him saying something, and I was like, I'm not coming out. I was like, and if I do come out and you touch me, I'm telling everybody. And
How did he react to that?
I came out, and he had a plastic bag wrapped around his head,
He was-
acting like he was gonna kill himself.
Okay.
You know, and then me, I'm like, oh, don't do that. You're gonna hurt yourself.
Right.
You
It was
know.
like a guilt thing, trying to make
Yeah,
you feel
yeah.
guilty, so you would.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So that is very manipulative.
Yeah, he was very manipulative.
Mm.
It stopped. That was the last day that he touched me like that.
So after he put the bag over his head, you know, you were like, stop. Did you let him touch you again? Like
No.
that same. Okay.
He
No.
didn't try again after that. A year or two later, my adopted father went and got remarried. So his new wife, didn't want me living with them. So at 16, my mom was using.
So your mom wasn't.
She was
Around
never.
this time,
She
she
was
wasn't
never
present?
always there.
So she kind of just left you with your adopted father and his family.
Right.
Okay.
And then when my adopted father didn't want me moving in, the wife.
Okay. So your adopted
Sorry.
father's wife.
Yes,
was like,
she
I
was
don't
not
want-
okay with it.
She's like, I don't want your ex-wife's
Right.
daughter living with us.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I got Social Security because my birth father died when I was 9.
Okay.
When I went to need my own place to live, me and my pop got a place together. I paid the rent, he paid the rent. My older brother lived with us.
This
My
is
mom.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean
No,
to
you're
interrupt you.
okay.
You said your papa. Is this your mom's dad or
My
your
mom's dad, yeah.
mom's dad? Okay.
My mom was in and out, using, coming and going. But at some point, my cousin stopped to live there for a little while. And I couldn't say no.
The same cousin.
Right. I didn't say no. I didn't tell anybody no because I didn't want anybody to know.
Right. You kind of felt shame, I'm guessing. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but is it
No, shame, embarrassment.
embarrassment?
I felt like if I told what really happened, he'd come up with his own version.
Make us lie on you, make his own story up. No,
Exactly.
she asked me to, or something like
Right.
that, or
We were both into it.
right,
Who knows? And I didn't want to hurt my papa.
right.
He helped raise my cousin his whole life. So, the year we lived in that house together, he held a knife to my throat at one point, choked me up against the wall. So there was other ways he would torture me, and cause chaos. As far as he goes, when I was 18 or 19 years old, it came out that he did it to other cousins. And I went to court with I went to the police station with one of my cousins to let them know I would speak on her behalf, and tell my story. They wouldn't charge him for what he did to me because it was out of time.
Okay.
It had been too long.
So were they trying to? So they would charge him for the other cousin that he was doing it to, but
No, they did. They charged him with the other cousin. He got 7 years in prison.
and at what age was he when this happened? When he got charged?
I was 18, so he was about 20, 21.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So when he got sent away, when he went to prison, was that a relief? I mean, was it
Absolutely.
like finally I don't have to worry about him no more? Like
Absolutely.
I bet.
To jump a little forward, there was a point in time where he was out of prison and I needed to go get drugs. So, and my mom would still go hang out with him and his new wife.
And then at this point, your mom and them, they knew what he did to you, and
Yes.
and to the other cousin.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And my mom stayed involved with his wife and him occasionally to go get high. So when I went to go find my mom, she was at his house, and I ended up falling asleep because I was so tired from using.
So
I
you were
woke
using
up.
during this time too. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. So the drugs weren't for your mother; they're for you. When you were looking for the drugs, they're
Right.
Okay.
They were for me.
I was just assuming they were for your mom for some reason. I don't know.
Well, what age did you start using?
My mom gave me my first Xanax when I was 12.
Really?
Oh,
Why?
wow.
If you don't mind me asking.
No.
Okay.
No. They thought I had endometriosis because my periods were a certain way. So she called my gynecologist and would say I had really bad cramps. And I did every month. I had really, really bad cramps. But she would say I needed something to help. So,
The doctor, your gynecologist said this.
no, my mom would say it to my gyno.
Oh.
And then my gyno would send Xanax for me.
Hmm.
So I found a bottle of Xanax in my name one day.
Okay.
And I was like, what are these pills?
So she was getting them for herself, but was acting like they were your.
That's
Okay.
crazy though.
So-
A 12-year-old getting prescribed Xanax. I mean, we know what Xanax does.
Yeah, at that point, I had no idea what they were.
Right, right. Just
Um,
medicine. You're thinking like
right.
it's gonna help my cramps.
And
like,
I didn't understand what they were because I didn't take any medicine at that point. So I'm like, what is this?
mm-hmm.
But even back in the day when I would get earaches and I'd get the,
Like ear infection or something. Or?
yeah, I get really bad ear infections. They give you that Tylenol codeine situation of
Mhm.
coughs and stuff. I would never get any of that. My mom would drink that up.
Mm.
Really?
Yeah. So
Sound like mine.
my mom gave me my first Xanax to kind of hush me. I didn't understand what was going on, and I was asking a lot of questions.
Like, why'd you get this?
Yeah, why
Where's
are
this
these
come
meds in my name? Who are you
Mhm.
on the phone with? Why don't I take them if they're mine?
from? Right.
Yeah. Because at 12, I'm still young, but I knew she got high,
Mm-hmm.
so she just felt like giving me one, I wouldn't put, two and two together. But luckily I didn't get I was still like anti-drugs for a long time after that.
Like the innocence, child, still innocent in a way. Like,
Yeah, like a lot of my friends in high school, they all smoked weed, and I was like, "Oh, smoke weed, but don't come around me high." I just, I was saving myself for marriage, sexually, and there was a point when I was 16, my great grandma died, and she was who I considered to be my best friend when I was 4 and 5.
Mm.
And it was said by someone at some point, my cousin who did those bad things to me didn't like something she was saying and pushed her off stairs.
And that's
And she just went into a old people home after that because she was struggling with things.
And then from that point downhill.
Yeah.
Okay.
so not like to stop you where you're at, but I interrupted you earlier. You said, you went to you're looking for drugs, and your mom, she was at your cousin's house, and you said you ended up falling asleep over there, and then I stopped you. So you fell asleep. So what happened?
I woke up dope sick.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted a ride to Atlantic City, which was like an hour away, so I could get high. And it turned out to be my cousin, his wife, another cousin, and the girlfriend.
That gave you a ride? Or?
Yeah. Okay, so after my grandma died is when I really, I smoked weed, I tried ecstasy, I was tripping, a lot of Oxycontins, Xanax. I started getting to it really heavy. And then didn't graduate high school because I liked fighting more than I liked studying. When I turned 19, I was dating somebody for a couple months, and I ended up pregnant.
And that was your first child?
Yeah, that was my daughter. I was not with the father during the pregnancy because I didn't know if I wanted to keep the baby. I was very concerned for her because of how abusive her father could be towards me. He was very heavy into ecstasy, cocaine, and marijuana. And having the mother I had, I felt like she deserved 1,000 times better than I could ever give her.
Okay. And I understand that. So did you you said you started doing different drugs after your grandma died. Who introduced you? We know that your mom gave you your first ecstasy pill, but who introduced you to the drugs? Like, who brought them
My
to you?
mom introduced me to a lot of painkillers, Xanax, stuff like that. But and heroin. She gave me my first bag of heroin.
Okay.
Um,
Wow.
Was this around that same young age? You know, you said
I
12
was
years
at,
old.
it was
isn't
actually after I had my second baby, so I was like 21.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. My third baby was born addicted to methadone.
Wow.
Did she so you were already doing drugs, but I guess you weren't exactly doing heroin yet, right?
Right.
When you got this first bag, did she give you this first bag because you were looking for what you had been using but couldn't find it at the time, and you were like, just give me what you got? Or was
She
it
started
kinda,
off giving me sips of her methadone. After I had my daughter, I was 20 years old. My daughter broke my coccyx bone
Mhm.
giving birth, and I ran out of my painkillers, so my mom would like give me sips of methadone, and she would give me sips of methadone every day, and I became reliant on
Mm-hmm.
it. So yeah, there was a point in time where I didn't have the methadone. She didn't have it for me, and she got heroin and gave me a bag,
Okay. Okay.
and a monster was created.
Wow.
That's how it happens.
And did you guys start doing these things together?
Here and there,
Okay.
here and there.
When you got that first bag of heroin, when you did that, how'd that make you feel? What did you like it? Did you like it?
Oh.
Like
I was Superwoman. I cleaned the whole house. I was feeling wonderful. My butt didn't hurt. Yeah,
so you liked it.
I liked it.
You liked it.
I liked it. Thought it was a wonder drug. Nothing wrong with it. It was great.
Just made you feel great.
Yeah,
Yeah. How can it be bad? It makes me feel great.
right.
Right. I get that.
Okay, so we're back to the point.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So we're back to the point. Okay. You said you fell asleep at your cousin's house, but then you woke up dope sick, and you wanted to get a ride to Atlantic City. You said, and it happened to be your cousin, his girlfriend, and
My other cousin and
your
his
other
wife.
cousin. What was this other cousin the same girl that he did it to, or was this a
No,
whole
no,
different
no,
cousin?
no.
Okay.
The other cousin was another boy cousin.
Okay.
He was younger than me. He was my younger brother's age.
Did everybody know what he had done
No,
prior to this? Okay.
no, yes.
Oh, so
Yes.
everybody was aware of what
It was
he's
already
done
out
already.
at this point.
Was they had to be? I mean, he went to prison. I'm sure everybody knew
Yeah.
at that
To-
point. I mean,
Okay.
did he ever? Not to stop where you're at, but did he ever? If you don't mind telling, did he ever apologize to you? He never brought it up or nothing. He never
No.
He took accountability?
took accountability. Never felt nothing, like no type of sorry or nothing.
No.
Nothing.
No. And in attachment to that, one of the cousins he did do stuff to committed suicide.
Oh no.
She
God bless her
was
soul.
she was she had a twin sister. They were, you know, her and her twin were both assaulted in ways, and
Both
Oh.
by him. Both twin sisters.
yes, both by him and by another family member.
Is this the same cousin that put him in prison? That got him put in prison?
Yes.
That committed suicide?
Um,
Or
both
the
of
tw-
them had a part to play in, like, you know, with their stories telling cops.
Okay. And when one of them committed suicide.
Right.
It's a shame.
There's also a little story linked to that. My aunt on my mom's side, they were running out of money and they had to pay their mortgage, and they robbed a bank. My aunt and my two twin cousins. So there was like a little bit more story
Wow.
behind her actually committing suicide.
She just sounded like she had a lot on her plate.
Right,
Okay.
right. But the cousin that was in the car with me when we went to Atlantic City, he also committed suicide a couple months after we got arrested.
The younger cousin, his
Right.
brother age.
He committed suicide a couple months after we got arrested in Atlantic City. The two cousins did it a year apart. But I felt a lot of guilt with that for so many years.
The female cousin and the male cousin that both committed suicide was a year apart, is what you're saying?
I had a fear. I had a guilt in both of them because I felt like if I would have told on my older cousin for doing the things he did to me, he wouldn't have been able to hurt my younger cousins. And
Yeah.
if I wouldn't have went to Atlantic City to go get drugs and let my little cousin come with us, he wouldn't have got arrested.
Mm. So you started blaming yourself for these things, like you. Okay.
Yeah, hardcore.
So let's make this very clear. None of that was your fault.
Yeah.
None of that was your fault. It was definitely the devil.
I'm sure you.
Definitely
know
the devil. That was full on the enemy.
He was at work.
He was working.
And
He was
it
working.
seems like he's been to work through your whole family. So
The whole
the
yeah.
rape, the molestation, the drug addiction, your family.
I mean, he had a grip.
Yeah, it
mean-
seems like, but
Good news is,
you can break it.
she already is breaking it.
Yeah.
I'm
breaking it
breaking
right
a
now.
generational curse.
You
Yes,
already
you
are.
are.
I believe you
And
already
you're-
are.
Because you're doing it, your kids are going to be blessed, and their kids.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
you're going to keep going.
Gonna stop the enemy from having that control over your family, over y'all's lives. So you said you felt guilty, because you feel like you could have prevented this stuff from happening if you would have came out with it, before you did.
Yeah, I definitely feel like even if I couldn't have fully stopped it from happening, I would have had a part to play in trying to help them. But even with just going on the trip to Atlantic City, those drugs had a hold on me.
And what were these drugs that you went for to Atlantic City? Because you said you were dope sick.
Crack cocaine and heroin.
Crack cocaine and heroin. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I ended up getting kept because I had a warrant out for my arrest.
Hmm. So why'd you get arrested in Atlantic City? How'd that happen?
So I met my heroin dealer first. They wanted a brick, but they wanted a bundle, but I wanted a brick.
Wow.
So I actually went,
Whole brick.
yeah,
Oh.
I did a brick a day,
What is a brick? What do you
5 bundles.
and what is a bundle? How many grams?
What is it, a gram in each bag?
So a gram. So from around here, a gram ranges anywhere from. I mean, a gram. It's a rock by that small.
No, definitely not that.
Like your dosage.
I want to say like
A gram is anywhere from
2 lines.
40 to
in a bag.
$100. I guess it depends on how good you gotta connect.
Yeah, I want to say like 2 lines in a bag.
Okay, so
So like 1 shot.
okay. Oh, because you're doing crack cocaine. I'm thinking of cocaine. So you said crack.
No,
cocaine.
yeah, it was crack.
Crack. Okay.
But I'm talking about heroin. That's
Okay.
how much heroin I did. I did a brick a day.
Okay.
So we got my stuff first. We went to my rooming house that was in Atlantic City, and I ended up overdosing. I wake up to my cousin like, "Come on, we gotta go," and came out of it luckily. And we couldn't find my crack dealer. He was out of town or something. So we went to a crack spot. And just me and my cousin went up alone. It should have been me, but he insisted.
The younger cousin, same
My
one.
older cousin,
The older one.
yeah.
The one that was doing this.
We went up there. he took both crack little rocks that we got. I didn't really want it at that moment. We were walking downstairs. We go to get in the car. We drive away a little bit, and whoop whoop.
Mm.
And the cop came over asking what we're doing in this area, and I said I left my suitcase. I left my pocketbook at my man's house, and I had to go grab it. And luckily, while he's talking to the driver and passenger, I put the whole brick up my hoo-ha. And then at one point, my cousin threw a crack rock back.
In the back seat?
Yeah.
Mm.
He put one in his mouth and he threw the other one. So when the cops asked us to exit, they searched, they found the rock, and nobody was owning up to it. I knew I had a warrant.
Oh, so you had a warrant previous to this?
I knew I had a failure to appear.
Okay.
So I didn't have I wouldn't have had a bail. So I didn't open my mouth. Everybody stood there quiet, and they were like, all right, we're going to arrest everybody then.
Yeah, why you didn't tell?
A part of me really, really wanted to.
But you was in the streets. And you sticking to that street code.
No,
No?
no such thing.
No?
Not then. I didn't want to give it to him,
What do you mean?
to my older cousin. I wanted him to go to jail too.
Ah.
I didn't feel like taking the blame for him. He was just as guilty as I was.
But it was his crack, wasn't
That right, and he's the one who threw it back.
So that's what I'm saying. Why you didn't tell? Why you
It didn't matter. It didn't matter.
Oh, because y'all were all
Yeah,
riding
like
with it.
if one didn't say, "Oh, it was mine," then it didn't matter who you pointed
Yeah,
the finger at.
should have told.
Gotcha.
He wasn't gonna admit to that anyway.
No.
especially if
Right.
He, told. He wasn't gonna be like,
Okay.
okay, if she told on me, it's
Like
fine.
everything in me wanted to take the blame for my younger cousin and his girlfriend. But yeah, I just kept my mouth shut. But I didn't care at that moment because I'm like, all right, I'm going to jail with a brick in my, you know. So I was okay.
Because, they make you, they search you. How'd
Sure.
that go?
They stripped me down. I squatted. I coughed.
Did it come out?
No.
No, that was up there.
It was uncomfortable.
She was clenching.
It was
Yeah, that
uncomfortable,
up there, wasn't
but it happened. It was good. I was all right.
You wasn't letting it go. You was
No.
making sure it went with you. You was, all right, I'm going to jail. If I'm going to jail, I'm gonna have my
Yeah,
stuff
I'm not
with
getting
me.
caught with this brick afterwards.
Yeah,
like,
and that
no.
too.
So I was
God bless
comfy.
you.
I was comfy and holding for 3 days.
She said comfy. She was comfy and holding.
I was very comfy. I had one left, and somehow rumor got around the pod that I had some.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and I was getting good offers for that last bag.
Really?
Yeah.
I bet. You in
I
jail.
was
They all been
getting
in there
some
for a
good
while.
offers for that bag, and I'm like, me knowing it wasn't gonna touch me because my tolerance was way up there, but might make me a little less sick, you know. So I ended up staying there for 90 days. When I got out of there, it was the first time I actually got clean. And I went into the program, like a Narcotics Anonymous program. And I was doing really good. Started getting my kids back in my life. My thing with me using was when I was getting high, I didn't feel like I had the value of seeing my kids.
Gotcha.
They were better off without me.
I understand.
I didn't want to do to them what my mom did to me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want them to see me high. I didn't want them to see me dope sick. I didn't want them to see that side of me.
Mm-hmm.
So where were your kids when they weren't with you during this time?
Luckily, they had the most amazing grandparents on my ex-husband's side.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
At least, you know.
amazing. They had custody for about 2.5 years. My ex-husband lost custody
Yeah.
because he started abusing the kids,
What do you mean by abusing?
hitting,
Wow.
calling names.
Okay.
Same thing he kind of did with me. Like, he never physically touched me, but he would throw things at me, call me names. My daughter called DIFUS on him when she was 10 years old.
DIFUS. What's
Wow.
DIFUS?
DCF.
Family
Okay.
Services. Mhm.
Okay.
Children and Family Services. Yeah, she called on him when she was 10 years old because she felt unsafe, unhappy. She moved with me. Right before this time, I was on methadone, but I was doing really good. I had a good job. I was making good money.
And this is after you got cleaned up in the program and all?
Yeah, there was a couple relapses after that, but
Okay.
How long were you in the program?
In and out, off and on for like 3 years. I lived in a recovery home, 2 different recovery houses. Yeah, so I was trying. And at that point in time, I was seeing my kids pretty regularly. And then when they called DIFUS on their father, they came and checked me out. I was dating a girl at that point. We were living in a home that her family owned. And I got custody back of my kids. I thought I was giving them a good life because I was putting them all in sports, cheerleading, all different kinds of vacations, cruises. But in the meantime, I was on methadone, buying Adderall off the street, and buying Xanax off the street. So I might have been there physically and financially, but I was not there for them mentally.
Do you at that time, how old were they? If you can
I think she said
My
10.
daughter, well, that's when I got custody back, but she was about 13 when I started
when it was-
messing around a little bit.
okay. And
About
so
14.
were you able to be open with them, like, because you know what we appreciate as kids is allowing us to know that you are real people too, like y'all aren't super humans, like meta-humans all the time, you know. The real, when you reveal to us like the real you, like you have feelings, you deal with real life stuff, were you able to reveal those things to them that early on or not yet?
As far as
Getting back into the drugs.
Not full on getting back into the drugs, but like you did, like maybe not as being as open, but like being like, you know, I did screw up. Like
oh
Mama
yeah,
did.
yeah, definitely. With
Okay.
situation like as far as the past went,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'd own up to the things I did and apologize, and you know,
I know they appreciated that.
and they knew how to manipulate me and get me where they wanted because
Oh, God.
Use it
because
against
of
you.
those feelings.
Wow, that's not fair.
Kids, though.
Yeah, they were kids, yeah, and they were damaged kids, you know.
I'm sorry. With my mom being on drugs and stuff, we would use her being a drug addict against her. Like, you weren't in our lives, you're not our real moms, something like that, you know. And so, to know that y'all as moms still, because y'all know where we're coming from in a way, you're still like, at the end of the day, they just kids, they're hurt. So we just take it, that just, I'm sorry that you had to experience that. Honestly, I'm sorry that she did. That's it. I'm sorry. I didn't
Stop apologizing.
I did not expect this to happen.
Definitely don't apologize.
See that? You see what you did though, Carly? You see what your story did already? Yeah. It's okay to let it out. It's okay to let it out.
I just hate that we didn't really give her. We knew she loved us, but it was just so hard to overlook what she was doing wrong all the time. So the wrong just kept on outweighing the bad. But the fact that you're still here and you have the opportunity to do right and to just love on your kids, just continue to do that, because that's going to take long. That's going to make it. They're going to keep those memories with them for life.
And just know that the way you handled it wasn't wrong. It was the way you knew how to handle it at the time with what you knew.
Thank you. Done.
See how your story's already helping people though? I didn't expect that one. I didn't expect that at all. It's already helping. Alright, that's one person already right there. It's good to let these things out in light. This is what it does.
I'm sorry.
Stop saying that, or I am gonna get mad.
Okay. So
This is good.
moving along. Go ahead.
Where were we?
Your kids are using your past against you. That's where we left off.
Okay.
How'd this
Yeah.
make you feel? How'd this make you feel in the time when they were? I'm sure it hurt you a little bit.
It definitely hurt, but I deserved it. That's how I felt. Like I deserved it. I deserved every minute of it, every second of it.
But you didn't. You're human. You're
And
human.
I did. I felt like
But like you said,
guilty because I did it to my mom. And living in her shoes and understanding what drugs do to you
so the same thing
doesn't
you.
make your kids love you any less. I mean, it doesn't make you love your kids any less. It doesn't mean that they're less important than the drug.
Absolutely. So the same things that you were trying to keep from happening in the beginning, you were glad your kids weren't around you because you didn't want to do the same thing that your mom did to you. You're realizing you kind of put them through the same thing as you went through. So you're unintentionally, exactly, unintentionally. So you were feeling guilty. You were feeling guilty. So this upset you. You were saying.
Yeah, I definitely didn't want them to see me in the midst of using. I thought at some points,
So that you
because I
did keep
wasn't
from it.
shooting heroin, it was okay.
Hmm.
But instead, I'd be taking an Adderall and I'd be redoing the house instead of spending time with them. I'd be painting the basement, painting the kitchen, doing the floor, redoing the countertops. And I was taking time away from them. But I felt like because I was spending my money and buying them things, video games and new clothes, and they were in their sports they wanted to be in, that was enough.
Yeah. Like the materialistic things mattered more than the time spent.
Yeah. And that honestly wasn't something I really learned until recently. That they just needed my time. They just needed my time. They didn't care about a cruise. cruise was nice because I was there, but I didn't really spend any time with them.
They just wanted you to be present,
Right,
spend time with them.
right. And even if I was present, I wasn't mentally present.
Right.
And um, so my using got worse over a period of time, but I was still stable, so to speak. I had a job, putting food on the table, making food.
You were still
Um,
supporting. You're doing the best you could at the time,
Right.
doing what you thought was right. Which was right. You were still providing. You were still being a mom.
So I
but-
thought, yeah. So I thought I was doing my job. When my daughter was 16 years old, something very life-changing happened. My son ended up getting thrown out of this school district. So we couldn't afford to live in Jersey. So we moved to Georgia. Oh, well, before we actually moved, he was in a boys' home
Oh, okay.
for like 6 months. And then COVID happened.
Like military school type of boys' home, or is it was
More therapy.
okay?
Then COVID happened, and they had like a instant release, even though they weren't.
Okay.
He wasn't supposed to be released yet. He was released. I couldn't send him back to school, so that's when we moved to Georgia.
So your daughter was 19, just moved to Florida, and you and your son just moved to Georgia.
Me and both my sons, yeah,
Both your sons.
and my ex-wife.
And your ex-wife. Okay.
I ended up going back to my wife, who was in South Carolina, staying with her sister, because she was going to leave me. Apparently, her and my son got in a fight in the middle of the night, and that's why she left. So I got the boys. I went to South Carolina to stay with her sister for a couple days. My daughter called me, first time hearing from her in quite some time. I'm graduating high school on such and such a date. And I was like, all right, I'll be there. And she's like, no, but didn't you just get out of the mental hospital? And I was like, yeah, but I'll be there. And she's like, no, I don't really think it's a good idea if you come. You know, you shouldn't be driving that long by yourself. And my own self-doubt was telling me that she was saying she didn't want me there. Knowing what I know now, she was just concerned. It's not that she didn't want me there. She would have loved to have me there. So there was a big fight that happened between my ex and her sister. We ended up leaving, going back to Jersey, packing the rest of the house, moving to Georgia. I used so much drugs to numb myself to get through the day. I was just done with her. Our lease ended, and we had nowhere to go. So we started staying in a hotel. I had a few sugar daddies that I got money from to keep us in the hotel. And my ex was okay with the sugar daddies. She was okay with me going and trying to prostitute. As long as we had a way to,
Yeah, as long as you had some money coming in.
yep, as long as we had money. And me, I was like fine with the prostitution because that's all I was worth.
How old were you when you started prostituting?
When I was 16, my mother tried to persuade me I was still a virgin. She tried to persuade me to do a massage with 2 men.
Okay.
Now, she thinks I didn't know what a massage meant. Back in the day, they used to do those newspaper articles. Get a massage for $120 an hour, and
Was she trying to get you to do those for her to get something got from them?
yes, because the guys that came, she had already been with, and they didn't want her.
Gotcha.
So she tried to get me to do it so she could still get her high.
Hmm.
I refused. I wouldn't do it. But when I moved to Atlantic City and started using real heavy when I was 26, I used to car jump, is what they would call it. You'd get the money from the John, they'd pull their pants down, and as they're in the midst of pulling their pants down, you jump out the car and run. Yeah,
You got your money, then
I got my money. Catch me if you can.
yeah, and your pants is down. You ain't gonna hop out the
Right.
car.
Oh, is that why y'all waited for them?
Yeah, because you.
There was one point in time where there was a Mexican and he didn't have a car, and I was like, oh, I could outrun a Mexican. I thought.
Oh, he was ready.
So we went behind like a little boardwalk, and he pulled down his pants, and I just went running, and he grabbed me by my throat and pulled, like, yoked me over the banister.
Oh, wow.
I was like, give me my money. And I gave him the money back, but that was the last time I ever tried to run. From that point on, I was prostituting.
Because you were like, it's too dangerous for you to be trying to run.
Right.
Okay.
Killed out
Yeah.
here trying to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I was homeless, selling myself for nothing short of a 120. No, nothing more than a 120. Because there were days I sold myself for shorter.
Mm.
I was raped twice out there. Both of them happened to be,
God bless you.
bless you. Both of them happened to be when I was passed out from being so high. One of them, I woke up in the middle of him being on me. And then he got off and he threw money at me, like $50. And then the other time, I fell asleep with a bunch of people in the room, and I woke up with my bottoms pulled down. But I deserved it. That's how I felt at the time. That's what I deserved. And like one of the sugar daddies I had mentioned earlier, he was really just somebody who took care of me on the streets. If I needed a hotel room, he'd cover a hotel room for a week. Like he would send me money all the time just to make sure I was good, I was okay. If he did come in town, because he was from New York, but if he did come in town, we would play rummy, 500 card rummy, for hours and hours and hours.
He just enjoyed your company.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
he actually cared for you.
right. The other sugar daddy I was mentioning, I met on Sugar Daddy website. His wife was really sick at home, and he just took me out to dinner. Same kind of situation. There wasn't anything sexual or nothing perverted going on. But if I needed money for the hotel room we were at in Georgia, he would come and drop it off. But yeah, I lived away in Atlantic City being homeless, and I wasn't a thief. I just wasn't a thief. I hated stealing. I hated lying. Even I could be on the craziest amount of drugs, and it would sit so bad in me,
Yeah.
and like I felt like I'd rather sell myself than do those other things, because the only people I was hurting was myself.
You still didn't want to hurt other people.
Mm-hmm. So
Right.
your heart was still good. Like,
Yeah, I was big.
you don't want to hurt nobody else, but yeah, as long as
Yeah.
I'm just hurting myself, I'm
Exactly.
not hurting nobody else.
Yeah. So 2 months into living at the hotels in Georgia, when I was in Jersey, I was on 80 milligrams of methadone. When I moved to Georgia, they put me on 180.
It's a big jump.
So it was a huge jump.
Why were you on these?
Methadone?
Mm-hmm.
I was diagnosed at 8 years old with rheumatoid arthritis. So I had a lot of pain throughout my life. So even when I was clean and I wasn't on drugs, I would have really painful days. And I liked the legal high.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? If I'm keeping it G.
Mhm.
Like, I liked the fact that I could just go to a place and they were going to give me a high. And I was going to be okay to take it.
Mm-hmm.
Time of being in the hotel, it was we were in one room, and then next door were the boys. In the one room I was sleeping in with my emotional support dog and my cat, who is 13 now too. There was a 2-bed, and I would not sleep on the same bed as my ex
This is in Georgia.
in Georgia.
In Georgia.
Didn't even want to look at. Yes, I wanted nothing to do with her.
I don't blame you at that point.
Yeah.
At that point, I felt stuck.
Okay.
It's kind of helping you support, like, get money for the room. and
Overall,
all that
looking
stuff.
back at it, not really.
No.
My sugar daddies were doing it.
Mm.
It was just you out there getting it.
Right.
Somebody with you, I guess, or just.
Yeah, maybe it was that. Just having.
That connection with
Yeah.
someone, feeling like you're not alone.
Because I'm gonna keep this honest too. There was a point in time where my dealer came over with my heroin, and he gave me some. I didn't know at the time, but it was fentanyl.
Mm.
And when I used to see pain doctors, I was on fentanyl patches, so I had a tolerance to it. The day he came over. He's like, "Oh, I got Nutri to try it," and it was a good amount. And my ex grabbed it and put it in the corner, and I was like, "Oh, gave you." So she gave it to me, and I was like, "Wait a minute, this looks like a lot less than what he gave you." And she's like, "No, that's what he gave me." So might have been an hour later. I call her name. She's in the bathroom. She didn't answer. So I walked in the bathroom, and she was overdosed with a needle in her arm off the toilet. And I take her off the toilet. I try resuscitating her, try and get her back. Her face is blue. I'm
She was
trying to,
gone.
yeah, I'm trying to be careful about how loud I yell. I don't want the boys to come over after hearing me.
Yeah.
I actually called a girl that also prostituted that lived in the hotel next door, and I asked her, "Do you have any Toradol?" What's it called? Not Toradol.
Narcan?
Narcan.
Narcan.
I don't know why I said Toradol. Yeah, any Narcan. And she's like, "I'll be there in a minute." And she was here in a minute. And she's like, "I don't have any Narcan." She's like, "I looked." And I'm like, "You gotta help me." I was like, "I gotta run." I was like, "I'm about to call the ambulance and run."
God bless you.
Bless you. Because I'm not going to lose my kids. No. So I wasn't going to leave her there to die,
Yeah.
but I was going to call the ambulance, make sure they knew where she was, and be out. Luckily, the girl found some of my ex's crack, put it in a pipe, got her to inhale some, and it woke her up.
What?
Oh, well, yeah, because it's like the opposite.
Uh-huh.
Mm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's like an upper and a downer type thing to kind
my
of fight
ex-
off the other high.
Yeah, my ex woke up. She asked where her crack was, and we told her, "You smoked it." And she went off. She went trying to swing at
She
me.
got pissed off with y'all because y'all saved her?
Yup,
She probably didn't believe you. She probably thought you smoked it or something. Huh?
yeah. she started swinging at me. The girl went off on her and was like, "You just saved your life."
Wait, that was right after y'all just saved her life?
Right,
Yeah.
as soon as she woke
That
up,
night,
huh?
yeah, like not even an hour later, maybe 10 minutes later.
What?
And she's like, "Well, you shouldn't have saved my life. You should have just let me die. Look at the situation we're in. Look how we're living."
From drugs.
Yeah.
From drugs.
So a day or two later, we were going across the street to grab some snacks for the kids, make a quick pickup. We had the emotional support dog with us named Cash. His name was Cash Money Jackson. And I made a comment about, how am I going to get off this 180 milligrams of methadone? How? I woke up in the hospital about a month later to find out I was hit by a car.
Wait, so what were you like walking at this time?
We were at a crosswalk on a highway,
And all you remember is
waking up.
but before that, all you remember is just asking like, how am I gonna get off
Yeah.
this methadone? And then
Yep. We were walking my emotional support dog, just coming back from grabbing snacks and getting what we wanted. And next thing I remember is waking up in a hospital with my ex being there, explaining everything that happened. I was hit by a car going 55 miles an hour. They were in a left turn only lane and they went straight. I had a neck brace on. My spine was broken, my neck was broken, and my pelvis was crushed.
My God.
I woke up in no pain, on no methadone.
so I don't want to make you forget. I don't want to stop you. No, keep going. I'll ask in a minute. Keep going. I'm sorry.
I woke up on nothing and in no pain.
That's God.
That's what I was gonna ask. Do you think that was God?
I know that was
You
God.
asked. You said, "How am I gonna get off this?" And that car was your answer.
Yeah.
I mean,
He was
being
carrying
sober,
me himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being sober for that time, that was just the way. It's just how it had to go to get clean.
It's
Mm.
it's a scripture in the Bible that actually says sometimes you have to go through a painful experience in order for us to change our ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure what book. I'm not sure where it's at, but that's what it says, and it sounds like he said, if you really want change, I'll give it to you.
Yeah. I was in the hospital for 2.5 months. I was in a coma for a week and a half, but I was in and out of consciousness for a month and a half. I was in the hospital for 2.5 months. I spent Thanksgiving there, Christmas, my birthday, New Year's, my 40th birthday. The nurses threw me a little birthday party. I woke up to find out I owned nothing anymore.
Wow.
When we went to the hotel, we had everything in a storage unit.
Was your kids with you when you got hit by the car?
Yeah, they actually were in the hotel room when I got hit, and my ex went and banged on their door and told them to come out. For what reason, I don't know, because that was not something they needed to see, me on a street covered in a sheet.
Probably thought you were dead. This was
Um,
both boys at this point, right?
Yeah.
Not the daughter, because she's okay.
So,
Dang. So your sons, they seen you laying in the street.
not only that, but they were on acid.
Oh.
Your sons were?
That
Oh.
was a bad.
I know they was freaking
I'm
out.
sorry.
Well, there is actually video, the police video of my older son, the one that has Asperger's, getting into it with the cop. The cop was like, "No, you can't go near her," and he's like, "I want to go see my mom."
Yeah.
And the cop was like, "No, well, you can't. I'm not gonna allow it."
Why?
And but this was all on video, on the police cam. I'm like, why?
But he wasn't trying
he
to
was
hear
tripping.
that. He wasn't trying to
He
hear
was
that. He was
tripping.
trying to get to his mom. No,
Yeah.
not telling the police. He was tripping. That, but he was trying to get to his mom.
Yeah.
That was his main focus.
Yeah, he just needed to see that I was okay.
No, but it's a good thing he didn't. Did he see you?
No, they didn't want to let him near me.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
okay.
good because that would have.
Well, and it's funny you say that because after getting out of the hospital, he told me he had a picture of me in the hospital. And I asked him to send it to me. And it was when I was still in a coma. I had all these tubes connected to me. I looked horrible. I had, not only a bunch of pick marks all over my face, but my arm was scraped up. I had the neck brace on. And I'm like, everybody deals with things in their own way, but why did he feel it necessary to take that picture of me? He might have thought it was the last picture he'd ever have of me. The other reason he may have taken that picture of me was because about 4 years before this, their father died in a motorcycle accident. And he lived in Florida at the time, and we were still in Jersey.
So they didn't get to.
So he didn't get to say goodbye. He didn't get to have that last moment. So I was in rehab for 100 days, and I moved into a transitional housing to stay with his grandparents. I met some amazing people in transitional housing. I got myself a trailer, paid for the year in advance, laid in bed. I struggled with a lot. Didn't want to leave bed because I struggled with a lot of memories from my past, a lot of flashbacks. A Jehovah's Witness comes to my door, and I keep inviting them back to come visit me. And it was very basic on what the Bible says and stuff like that. But it started piquing my interest again. So I started going to the church in front of me. And I was very nervous and very skeptical because of my past situations in the church. But they were so nice. They were so welcoming. There was this old lady I'd sit in the back with, and we'd talk. We'd go out to lunch. I continued to go there every Sunday. I got baptized there. My lease ended up about to end, and I had to go stay with my sister in Jersey around that time. Wondering why God's got me, but understanding that through everything God had me. My molestations, my rapes. I was held at gunpoint twice, one by a 13-year-old, another time because someone was trying to kidnap me. I started to come into more of an understanding and a relationship with God around that time. I started going to a program. I go 4 days a week. It's for people with different abilities.
Okay.
Autism, schizophrenia, schizoaffective, bipolar. But I have PTSD, traumatic brain injury. I'm bipolar, manic, very depressing, a lot of depression.
Yeah.
We were family.
Yeah.
And that meant a lot. Someone took over, and the first time I met this woman, I shared a little bit. And she looked at me and she said, we ended up talking about God and about church, and she offered to maybe bring me to church one day, and I was like, please. She ended up bringing me to church with her. One of the most amazing churches I've been to. again where I was welcomed. I felt loved from the moment I walked in. I felt valuable.
Does this happen to be our church?
Yes.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I'm so happy for you.
I'm glad. M Street loves all. Oh.
I've, in these 3 years, I've grown a relationship and a faith that didn't exist before with God. But these past several months that I've been going to Elm Street Church of God, like, it's changed me. I can't do drugs. I just can't.
I understand that.
They own me.
I understand that.
Walking into that church, I didn't have many nice things to wear. I was handed $200 by someone who goes there and told to go buy myself some stuff. Now I have some pretty nice things to wear at church.
Yeah.
That at first is like, oh, how am I going to give back to her? How am I going to show her I appreciate it? But she didn't want that.
Mm-hmm.
She just wanted me to be comfortable. She
Mhm.
wanted me to feel like I was valued.
Yeah.
Because you are. You are valued.
And I started going every month to feed the homeless and the poor.
It's awesome. That's giving back right there. That's doing the Lord's
Yeah,
work.
and
That's
I
doing the work for the
actually
Lord.
did post on Facebook the first day I went. I said, I'm so happy I'm giving back what was so freely given to me,
Mm.
Yeah.
and it was
That's beautiful.
It is
was
beautiful.
so
So beautiful.
such a good feeling, knowing that they're not going to go to bed hungry.
Mm-hmm.
It was beautiful to see that not all churches are the same, because there was so much doubt put in my mind for so long that, oh, churches talk about each other behind each other's back. They, oh, I got the nicer car than that guy, and, who's better than who, and,
But see, that is common in a lot of churches.
It's very common.
And
Unfortunately.
that is why people stray away from church. It's not because of God, it's because of the people in there.
right.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why they don't, when you go up and you try to talk to them about God, immediately they start blaming God for for people's doings. And that's not fair to him. So I am glad that they've made an effect to where you can go out.
Yeah.
You could represent very well for God first
Absolutely, for
and
God.
for the church.
And I'm also grateful for this woman that God put into my life, because she saw me.
She's an amazing woman, isn't she?
She saw me, and not many people see me the way she saw me.
This woman that you're talking about, we love this woman.
Love her.
Love her.
Absolutely love her. And we're so glad that she found you. She loves you.
I mean, we must have said 5 words, and she was just like,
That's her, though.
Yeah.
That's her. I mean,
She
that's.
saw you.
yeah, she saw me. And, again, with my self-doubt, which I have a lot of, like, I always get on her nerves, and,
No.
but she tells me, like, no, I don't. She wants me to expand my relationships. She'll be happy with that, but it's not because I get on her nerves. It's for my well-being.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She's big on that. She's big on family. We are all a family in that church.
That's right.
She will
Yeah.
push that. You are all family. We're all family.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. But she loves you.
Even inviting me to the women's convention, like, she didn't have to do that. Like, she's just showed me a lot of love.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of love.
It's a woman of God right there.
Yeah.
It's a woman of God.
Yes. Yes. We're glad that you are. Are you gonna You haven't been fellowshipped in, have you?
No.
Are you gonna go for it?
I'm learning a lot. I don't really know how I do it.
You just ask, and that'll be your home.
Yeah,
That'll be your home
literally.
church.
Hey, when
He got fellowshipped in. When was it? Last year?
yeah, when they asked me, I said, I thought I already was.
Because
They
he was
laughed.
going.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
said I thought this was my church already. And they said,
Yeah.
well, yeah, but
You gotta.
You
they was
gotta, you know, you gotta make it
they
official.
didn't say you gotta, but they was
Yeah.
like it wouldn't hurt. you
yeah,
know?
yeah. And I was like, well, as far as I'm concerned, this is my home, this is my church.
Yeah. It's just
It
about.
was funny. They thought it
seeing-
was funny.
Yeah, they're like, if you like it, then you put a ring on
Uh-huh.
it.
Yeah. So I am glad that you are a
Part of the family.
Yes, you are part of the family. You're part of our family now, and we hope that you continue to be part of our family.
Questions.
Oh,
So, so it was exciting to hear. You know, you realizing God has always had your back. So, who is Jesus to you?
Jesus, to me, is the Son of God who blessed a lot of people when he was on this earth.
That's right. But I mean,
And-
more of a personal to you specifically.
To me specifically, he's someone who's always been there with me.
That's what I was looking for.
Yeah, he's always been there with me, even though I didn't recognize it at times.
Yeah.
I never felt alone.
That's awesome. It's not really a question, but isn't it just now that you are recognizing that he is with you and always had your back, that feeling, isn't it just amazing? Like a relief? Like, isn't it just like, dang, now I got me getting emotional. Like, it's hard to explain. Just isn't it amazing?
It's something I've definitely never felt.
Mm-hmm.
It's freeing, yet comfortable
Mm-hmm.
and cozy and warm.
Like, just lifts you up. Just,
Yeah.
you know you're never alone. He always has you.
You know, like after my accident, I would cry a lot over everything. I could watch a puppy commercial and be like in tears. My neurologist said it was my traumatic brain injury that would cause those things. But even now, like when we're in church and they're singing, just bawling. Like it happens a lot in church.
Well, I can tell you that has nothing to do with no brain
No,
injury,
it
man.
doesn't.
That's
And
the
it
Holy
feels different. It's a
Spirit.
different feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
he be in there.
Yeah.
He's
He be
there.
living in there.
Now the drugs don't own me. God
No,
does.
God does. That's what I'm looking for. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Elm Street is a holy home.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to Elm Street, Church of God.
Yes. So
I want to thank you guys.
No, thank you. Thank you for
thank
coming and
you.
sharing your story.
Yes, I know it takes.
Thank you.
I know sometimes people be iffy about sharing their stories only because people are private. Some people don't really like their business out there, but you were very transparent from the get-go. As soon as I
Very.
came up to you, I was like, we were at the women's conference, and I said, hey, me and my husband, we have a podcast, and I kind of want you to tell your story. And you're just like, immediately, yes. Like, I'll do it. And then, you know, we talked some more, and you were very open to, you know, to it. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
You know, and because before, like most of my life, I lived in secrets.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of secrets.
And that's how the devil kept that grip on you.
Things that happened to me, things I did, things I was doing. Now it's just like I have no secrets to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have no secrets, and I
Yes.
love that.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Everything just at the surface.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Lay all the cards out on the table. Take me as I am, or don't take me at all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But the fact that we can do that because we know if the person don't like it out here, down here, He do.
Yeah, it's all right because he love it.
Yeah, like you
He
don't have
loves
to
it.
like what
And
I
he'll
got going
put
on.
the
but he
exact
do.
right person that needs to be there right there.
Yes, yes, he does every time.
Absolutely.
We love you, Miss Carly.
We do. We
I
love,
love
you.
you guys.
Sister in Christ.
Yes, I'm glad I have one. Till next time.
Till next time.